One beats.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first playoff match for Midwest R6. We have MSU Green, the varsity squad for Michigan State University, going up against MSU White, the JV squad. And we are here for a little friendly fire showdown. I am joined today by my co-host, Alias. Take us away.
Well, this is the second one of these I've done within the past week, so get a little bit more knowledge going into it. Although I do like that we have the same school. It's like the meme of the guy pointing the gun at the back of his own head. Which, if you've seen the amount of time I spend on Image Flip, you'll know how much I appreciate these types of things. So I'm excited. Should be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely in for a good time here today. Really do think that it's going to be up to both of these teams to bring their absolute best
That's accurate, James. That's
the
accurate.
uh,
We
to
do
the
have to
to the
say the
game
line though.
the game up ahead. We know that in the past, two major issues for these teams have been communication coordination, and so I'm very curious to see how these two teams will
Yeah.
adapt and perhaps adjust their strategies over time in order to get a more cohesive push overall.
Yeah, I think adaptations are something that a lot of people who aren't as experienced kind of tend to struggle with. Speaking as someone who has done
Someone,
quite a bit of
someone.
coaching and IGLing and just playing in general, it is something that is very difficult to get used to. However, once you do kind of get the hang of it, then something that can really kind of pull you through. And that's something we kind of saw with the last game I casted as well with I believe it was UWRF, although you can correct me if I'm wrong, who kind of talked a lot about how their adaptations to the way their opponents are playing kind of allowed them to pull things out and get the dub in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that overall these two teams have had strong performances when it really comes down to it. And I think that given the right opportunity here, we might even see an upset. Certainly, given the strong presence we've seen so far from MSU Green, they're going to try as hard as possible to make that not a reality for MSU White. But uh, the chance still remains here that that MSU White walks away with a victory over their
Yeah.
older brother, so to speak.
Yeah, and the thing with these types of games as well is that the academy team, right, or the JV team, I believe you called them, they don't really have anything to lose here, whereas the varsity team has everything to lose, and so there's a little bit of a kind of pressure dynamic going on between the two teams that can kind of throw things out of whack.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, I think it's gonna come down to how, what these attacking rounds look like. I think, overall defensive rounds, they tend to be pretty, stock standard and pretty manageable. So it really is going to be down to how these two teams differentiate themselves in their attacking rounds. With that, we can take a look here at some of the quotes from MSU Green. We have a quote here from Lumi, captain of the MSU Green team. We're not happy with the matchup, but we're playing it like any other game. This is the playoffs. Each team is here because they deserve to be, so we will play each match to our full potential. And I think that really does kind of encapsulate the hope that MSU Green brings with them into this match.
Yeah, a lot of confidence coming out of the gate right now with the way this quote is set up, but I do quite like that. I think that is one of the single most important factors for player to player and as well as team to team. And so the fact that they are going into this, like, hey, we're the big dogs for a reason. This is supposed to be our game to win, and we're gonna play like it. And if they do play like it, then it should be a show.
Absolutely. Moving on over to MSU White here, we do have a quote from their captain as well, Orca Mellon. He says, Green has everything to lose and we have everything to gain. We are here to shock the world. Also, Swinger be swung. I really do think that this is absolutely a moment for uh, MSU Green to or MSU White, excuse me, to really prove themselves here in taking down the behemoth that is MSU Green, and really prove that you can't always count on the clear winner, so to speak, from today's matchup.
Certainly do agree there. I also do, he's kind of talking about, like, a little of what I said earlier, where it's like, they are, the green has everything to lose, whereas white kind of has nothing to lose. And that kind of dynamic is something that can oftentimes be the beneficial thing, where if you get up ahead and it's like, yeah, we're doing it, we're going, we've got this in the bag, but if you're behind, it's like, well, that's what's expected, right? And those kind of mental, not games, but those like mental things that are going on throughout a match can often be some of the most interesting to watch unfold and some of the most impactful things.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on over to our map bans for today, we can see some very interesting lineups here. I am personally very interested to see how Nighthaven plays out. I know it was a favorite for MSU Green, and Skyscraper, I don't believe has ever been played by MSU Green in one of their matches. So I'm very curious to see how they try and adapt to that.
Yeah, see, these map choices to me are pretty interesting for I mean, it is the first game of playoffs, so you do kind of expect things to be pulled out. But Nighthaven is not typically a map that is brought out a ton right now by kind of less experienced teams or teams this early into playoffs, so I'm interested to see that. Skyscraper as well is kind of a little bit of an abnormal one, so should be interested to see how both teams adapt to that. And then we're kind of going to Chalet afterwards, which is in a kind of way I like to talk about the maps, kind of like your home away from home, right? You have a couple maps that everyone knows, which are Club in Oregon. Then Chalet is kind of like adjacent to that. It's not quite as default as those, but it's still something that generally people are going to have in their arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a very interesting choice to end up with the
Yo,
what would
yo,
some would
fan
consider the most
Purple.
basic the most basic
Yeah, the stream bugging.
The stream
the
is
the the most competent map used as the last stand is the overtime map. So very curious to see how these two teams decide to uh, take on that final challenge. And I think it's also additionally very interesting that they're using um, these extra not so often seen maps when it comes down to it. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I will say with that, I think we are ready to throw over to some gameplay uh, as we get started here in a minute.
Now we have the best part of the game, the thing you all came to watch, as the teams battle it out inside of the server to see which one of them ultimately gets to go on farther into the playoffs and which one is going to go back to the dorm room and walk past their teammates in the hallway.
Yes, absolutely. I think again that rivalry existing on campus makes things just that more impactful and just that more interesting as as the match progresses. It'll be interesting to see how these teams adapt to the challenge.
Yeah, especially with being playoffs and that kind of adding like a whole new kind of challenge onto things where it's like, all right, kids, we're in the big leagues now. It's time to, show up to the server and give it 110% every round until either we win or they win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, like we were saying, it's all the more personal from these teams coming out to again play each other. They know each other. They've scrimmed together. They've practiced together. So it's really just a proving ground for these two teams as we get into things.
Gonna start off with the map bans here with MSU White getting the first ban as they are on the defense, and they're gonna get to choose an attacker that they don't want to deal with and just make them sit on the sidelines for the duration of this map. And that's going to end up being the Nook, which I'd say is a pretty solid choice if the team that you're playing against is known for liking to be lurky, as with the combination of her frag grenades as well as her ability to weasel her way into places that are fairly awkward to deal with. It can be quite a combination to deal with if you are ill-prepared. MSU Green get the second attacker ban, and they're going to opt to take out Jackal, which is going to make roaming a little bit easier, as if your feet can't be detected and if you can't be pinged quite so easily, then it makes riding just that little bit more effective.
Absolutely. We're seeing the Jackal ban coming out as well. Very clear that they're trying to avoid, again, trying to get that heavy roam clear. Um, MSU Green is known for, among other things, its incredibly strong roam game. And so it's very interesting that they're choosing to take out not only the Jackal but the Fenrir, um, which I do think will complement their more aggressive style of play.
Yeah, Fenrir is good not only for information, but also making it really, really hard to peek certain things. If you walk in and have a vape cloud internally circling around you, Solus banned out as well, which means getting pre-placed drones on the map and using utility in general be that much easier. And now that does leave Azami up on the board, which is going to be taken by MCD, who I've been instructed specifically not to call McD. So still quite a powerful operator on the defense, as well as Valkyrie being brought out, which is going to allow that information given to flourish, combined with Mute denying the attacker's information, and along with the Pulse, could have something pretty deadly here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think additionally the choice of using both the Lion up looks like they're gonna be switching off the Lion actually to the Gridlock. But even still, I think the Gridlock, along with the use of Finka, is definitely going to bring out some very grenade heavy play in this first round as we get ready to uh, kind of jump into the first match here.
Yeah, Gridlock also is very good at denying a good amount of area with her track stingers, and especially if you're able to get a plant down and then kind of litter the room with track stingers, or maybe throw them on a staircase, it makes it harder to retake that area. And it can oftentimes be used to curb or completely punish aggression if you're able to use it right as well. So I'm guessing that's probably what the intention behind Shirk's operator pick here is. It looks like we're going to be attacking primarily from Parkside here. Get connector wall open, gets people inside a lobby, and then see if we get a plant going behind the pillar. But it's yet to be seen if that will come to fruition, as I'd imagine that we're going to have some pressure Aqua's side as we see Ling running up the staircase after killing the Pulse as the opener.
Absolutely. We are going to see that first death very quickly come out. Another frag coming out from Ling as he finds Steel in a double for Ling. Again, has been a very prolific fragger, but will lose his life at the hands of Orca. A very competent, very confident team captain. He's definitely going to try and get his guys to remain cool now that they're in the man disadvantage and really just let the attackers come to them.
The only MCD and Orcamelon left here in the 2v4 is, well, all their teammates fall around them, and MCD is able to get one back onto Gramado. That's the Finka off of the board. C4 goes out, but nothing is found off of it. And D4C gets Orcamelon, almost has the pick onto MCD as well, but not quite able to find it yet. Although with the crossfire along with Shirk ends up coming to fruition. And that's the first round going the way of MSU Green.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing a very strong first showing from Green here, especially with that entry. We saw Ling get explosive with it, get onto site, and really make sure that he's able to secure the control of the bomb site for the rest of his team. He did die, but not before taking two other members of MSUite with him. And really, that is what Ling and Motto both excel at, is really taking space, taking advantage of that real estate, getting those early picks that really help the team get into sight and get the victory in the end.
I would have liked to see a little bit of aggression from the rest of the team following that play, as he did find an opening within the site that could have been taken advantage of if they were able to get the diffuser over there, but it's also not necessarily the worst thing, as he does still get in there and get his picks, and takes out a Pulse as well, which is a pretty good operator to have off the board, in my opinion, is that C4 from below, with how much of this flourish breakable can often be the round-defining factor, or even just the information he can provide while being on his sensor. So, either way, good play from him ends up leading to team winning the round, if not indirectly, and we'll see what he tries to cook up this round to get the dub again.
Yes, absolutely. I will say Pulse has been known to be used by both teams. I know that D4C is also a big fan of the Pulse pick. And it looks like some of the plans of MSU may already be bearing fruit. Looks like there was a down there from Ling, quickly picked up by the Finka boost though. And I don't actually know if Mythic is aware that his frag has not yet been taken completely off the board.
DD is going to reinforce off connector here and start throwing down some cover. Ling gets an opening pick onto Mythic. Gramado gets one on the Spicy Guac as well. So the man advantage firmly in the hands of MSU Green by this point. Is now D4C as well as Shirk are going to look to make their entry into connector here and see what space they can take. And MCD gets taken out by Shirk on the entry through the gridlock and electrical. Gonna slow down a bit, look to gather some information. Pull out a frag grenade as Orca looks to run up, gets moved with the TCSG, but gets down by the frag grenade. It's all left up to Steel in the 1v3. Doesn't have a lot of information, knows where D4C is, but nothing comes of it as D4C is better in the swing.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was really just an example of really just total outfragging at the end there. You know, when the clock starts ticking down, you know, who's winning those gunfights, who's finding those kills. And it definitely seems to be MSU Green right now as they're up to 0. We did see, like we said, you know, some strong plays with the frags, and Finka's ability has already come in handy as well. So it really is going to be very interesting to see how they're able to how MSUI is going to be able to adjust around those frags and around the really dominating presence that MSU Green is bringing.
Yeah, so far Lang is 2-0 on entry, which, I mean, it's big, right? Oh, we've only had 2 rounds, so there is an opportunity for him to falter on those entry engagements, but just having a player who can reliably get the first kill each round is something that I think is often underappreciated, as getting that man advantage early, especially if you're able to take out an operator with good amounts of utility or at a pivotal position, is so nice. And the fact that Ling's doing that consistently is, I think, something that should not go unnoticed throughout the rest of the game if he's able to keep up that momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think momentum is definitely the name of the game, setting a good tempo for the rounds to follow. And so far, if you know kills have been any indication of it, it's been MSU Green kind of taking the reins, getting those picks, and just kind of storming into sight. We have noticed like some pretty disadvantageous man countage when you're getting down to the final seconds. But it does look like MSU White may be adapting. They may have said, look, this hasn't been working for us, and we need to just find a simple way to adapt. I will say it does look like an interesting choice here, as they may or may not be leaving EXO completely free for MSU Green here, which is certainly an interesting strategic choice, given how vital that wall usually is to typical site setups.
Spicy Glock going to get the first pick onto Gramado, taking that Finka off of the board immediately. Ling is going to do some flank watch for himself with this Claymore. Shirk's going to take an engagement over towards Cargo, or potential engagement rather, as Shirk is outside of the building, though it doesn't look like he's too keen on throwing his life away, as now MSU Green has to try to work from this man disadvantage.
Absolutely. Now that MSU Green is down a man, perhaps MSU White will gain some space to breathe, but it doesn't look like MSU Green has been giving them any respite, as they're going to start to open up the vertical, get some of the plays going from up above, and really try to make MSU White feel like they're alone. D4C will be picking up the frag on Orca. Spicy will be retaliating with a nice shot onto Lumi, as it is down to a 3v3. Again, MSU Green is just creating this space, finding these picks where it matters most, and really trying its best to make sure that they're able to get the picks overall. Looks like D4C will find another pick onto Steel, a third onto MCD, as it is now a 3 versus 1. What was initially a man disadvantage has now completely flipped around. Oh! And it looks like Spicy will find 2 for the quad kill onto Ling and Shirk, putting us in a 1v1 scenario with the potential for an ace here from Spicy Guac.
However, D4C also on the cusp of an ace as he takes out Mythic, looks to start getting the plant down, and Spicy doesn't quite know where he is. The plant is going to be successful, which is going to put time into the hands of the Thatcher. He's going to repossession. He knows where he is, but no! Spicy Guac with the ace to win MSU White their first round.
Wow, what a fantastic performance so far from Spicy Guac. I mean, this kid has been, out-fragging everybody on his team, certainly, but has also been putting a major dent into the leaderboards for MSU Green. A fantastic ace, and really a demonstration of his talent as an entry on the team.
Yeah, great work from him there, especially being able to shut down 2 players with 1 spray of their own and bring things back into a much more winnable position, though D4C did also make a great effort to try to bring things back, and he almost did kill the Mozzie. I'm almost a little bit surprised that he didn't, but now that does have the issue of MSU might have to win a different site now. They're going to go back to the top floor, command center, and server, where they have lost twice before, although they can do some adaptations to try to get something going, and now Spicy's going to have a little bit more confidence on his side that he's going to be able to bring into these gunfights.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really all about the confidence that people bring into these one-on-ones that ends up winning the day. Like we've already said, we see these strong performances from these standout players, more specifically D4C and Guac, kind of going head-to-head here. And it really does, leave me to wonder what performances we might see from them in the coming rounds here as we get further and further into Nighthaven. Obviously, MSU White got one round last round, and again, I cannot stress enough, it really is going to come down to these attack rounds for both teams, and it's going to be really crucial to see whether or not they're able to eke out a victory here on Nighthaven.
You have Ling and Gramano making an aggressive entry in towards lobby. Now in towards kitchen, as it looks like they have some information on these roamers, and they want to hunt them down with fury and speed. Gramano has an eye on Spicy, but Spicy doesn't give the pick easily until he falls, giving the opening pick once again to MSU Green. The roam hunt continues, however, as there's still a Valkyrie down below, and they want to make sure there's no C4s. Looking through a hole in the wall, over towards 90. Doesn't have much help down here, which means that if they find out where he is and try to get a pinch on him, could spell life or death, but we'll have to see if they fully know where he is.
Absolutely. The vertical play from MSU Green has been really claustrophobic, I feel like, for members of MSU White here. They're just finding nowhere to turn, but Mythic will find a frag onto Gramado, quickly turned around as Illumi will find MCD, bring us, looks like we're going to see more picks as Mythic will find D4C. D4C will quickly get a trade onto Mythic. It will be a 3v1 as Ling finds Steel, all down to Orca, but unfortunately, Ling will find the kill, netting MSU Green another round.
Yeah, good stuff from them. I like that. I like that very aggressive roam clear down below. Right, they want the opening pick. They know that's kind of one of the win conditions for them. And so far, 100% of the time, the team that's gotten the opening pick has won. So they say, screw it. Just go find the guy down below and make sure he doesn't ace again. And the result is that Gramado gets that opening pick, and they also fluster everyone on the defense as a result, combined with the pressure going on inside of Connector, as well as the pressure from the top of the waterfall stairs, and it just ends up being this kind of Viper pincer maneuver that MSU White unfortunately aren't really able to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say the coordination from MSU Green has been absolutely on point in this match so far. They've been very good about making sure that when they do push in, they're aggressive. But in the moments where they're still kind of formulating a plan, they're able to kind of keep in that holding pattern and not let any of their team members get too aggressive without kind of having a concrete notion of what they're doing going forward. Again, very dominant play so far, and I will say, seeing Spicy Guac taken off the table so soon into a round really does kind of, bring down the chances of winning a round here for MSU White quite significantly whenever their star player is kind of taken offline too soon.
Yeah, so far he has won them 100% of the rounds that they've won with his ace, which also accounts for all 5 of his kills. And if they're able to continue just shutting him down and make sure that he isn't able to get in positions to make advantageous plays again, then that could be the win condition here. Speaking of, D4C walks in, gets 2 onto MCD and Spicy Guac. And now vertical control as well as man advantage established within the first 40 seconds of the round.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're seeing Vert being opened here by D4C. Little points of damage being taken by Orca, but he'll be put out of his misery, unfortunately, as Ling will find Orca with a nice headshot. Now down to a 5 versus 2 situation. Again, leaving it all to Mythic on the Mute and Steel on the Jaeger. It's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to be able to do. Steel will find a kill on the Shirk. Quickly will be refragged. And Ling and Gramado will find the last 2 members of MSU White as MSU Green brings home another round.
Like the aggression from D4C top 4, he knows where the defender is, and instead of letting that defender kind of get into a more comfortable position or take the gunfight on his own terms, he just walks. And it ends up with him getting that kill and then the subsequent one as well, combined with that pick from Ling on that lurk in through cargo, and all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of a 5v2 along with the site execute, which we just saw does not turn out well for MSU White. Well played to MSU Green there. We're going to go back down to Assembly here, which is the only site that MSU White has won thus far, though it was off the back of some stunning individual play from Spicy Guac, which is something that has been shut down in the previous 2 rounds since that victory has come. So we'll have to see if he's able to pull out another ace or if MSU White has something cooking that we don't see.
Yeah, I am very curious to see what MSU White is going to try and do here in response to this extremely strong opening from MSU Green so far. Definitely going to be interesting to see what they might try and pull out, if there are any new strategies they're trying to adapt to. We are going to see, again, another Aruni pick as well as another Mozzie pick. Worked very well for Guac last time. It won him the ace. So it is going to be very interesting to see what they're going to be able to try and do here with the time that they have and with the abilities that they have at their disposal.
Mythic gets into the first engagement of the round, though no one ends up dying yet, although, as I say that, Gramado changes that with some good vert play coming out from him on the fuse, and now they're gonna use those pellets to just rain hell upon the floors below and eventually onto the site itself through the openings that are going to be made in the floor. Spicy Guac as well is down by one of those pellets, and it looks like D4C is in a position to capitalize if they send a drone over that way, giving the 5 versus 2, or 5 versus 3, excuse me, over to MSU Green.
Absolutely, we are seeing that 5v3 situation play out here with that kill from Ling onto Guac. And again, with their star player out, it looks like we might see a little bit of an unraveling here from MSU White. They do still have 3 members left, so this is definitely still winnable. They've pulled it back from less, and so it's really going to come down to how these players decide to try and adapt to the really ever-increasing presence of MSU Green here as they kind of squeeze in around them.
MCD and D4C both lit up to low HP, but Orcamelon gets one back, but Gramado fixes that up, and then he gets another kill as well, and then he finishes off with an ace as he takes out MCD as well, hiding on that tank, and it gives the 5-1 advantage over towards MSU Green as they move on to their defenses.
Yeah, I will say it has been an extremely strong showing from both teams so far, but again, 2 aces in 6 rounds is simply wild. It seems like we've got a lot of very strong individual plays happening here, where it's just they're finding themselves in the zone, they're just ready to take on whatever life is kind of throwing at them.
Off to CCN server, first of all, for MSU Green, as they look to start on the same site that MSU White struggled with for 3 rounds on their defensive half. And we see a fairly similar setup, though we do have a little bit more aggression in terms of operator choices with Ling going on that vigil. Most likely going to be playing down below and trying to just be a little bit of a rat, just make sure that information and kills are hard to come by for MSU White.
Yeah, absolutely. We have been seeing, again, an adaptation of strategy of sorts from both teams as they've been trying to, again, adapt their strategy, try it again. But again, there are only so many ways you can try and fix the problem. Eventually, it is going to come down to, winning these gunfights, winning these engagements, making sure that, they're not dying to silly mistakes that might get them uh, screwed over a little bit in the long run. So it's more important now than ever that MSU White kind of, either plays it safe or preserves their man count. But it actually looks like with, with MSU White on attack, there is opportunity here for them to shake up the status quo.
Yeah, they do. They also have advantages like having frag grenades and drones in pocket as well, which we're going to see MCD get some good use out of as he destroys the shield that D4C was sitting on inside of that meeting hallway, which is going to make it harder for him to hold this position, but he is still willing to get aggressive, especially off some information from the default cam. Frag grenade being held by the gridlock, unfortunately, leads to his death, but he does get the down on D4C. However, we do have one player rushing to get the revive, so not a lot will come of it most likely. Boss G kill comes out from laying aggression from the two players, but it doesn't work out as Seal gets a 2K. It evens up the man count yet again. Successful bandit trick on the connector wall, though, is keeping MSU White at bay. Although if this entry goes well, it could be all the difference, and it does, but unfortunately it ends up being a trade.
Yes, unfortunately, when MSU White is looking for a man up when it needs it the most, they are unable to find it in this 2v2 situation. They are going to be able to successfully get inside the building. Orca is going to be looking to take an engagement here, but backs off just in time. Really going to be trying to come down to a 1v1 here almost between Orca and Lumi. But so far, neither one of them has been able to successfully land some damage on the other. A little bit of damage coming out, but it looks like Guac will be found out as Shirk is able to grab the kill. Lumi will find the headshot onto Orca, bringing about another win for MSU Green.
Excellent play there from everyone on MSU Green inside of that connector area, as even though D4C does end up dying there, he ends up getting multiple kills to keep his opponents at bay, and he gives Lumi the room to breathe that she needs to bandit trick the wall and make them have to adapt their plans mid-round. They couldn't get the wall open, and when they had to funnel in a doorway as a result, and when MSU Green were ready, it ended up being their demise. Off to Assembly and Tank again, which could be the last round that we see of this map, as we have potentially both the Boss G and the Legion shotgun being brought out here, so some interesting plays looking to be made here by MSU Green.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are really just looking for a way to kind of close this out, confidently say, we did well on map 1, we're going to be ready for map 2, and just kind of keeping their momentum going into these defense rounds is going to be super crucial, even as they are setting up for what is one of their better setup sites. It is going to be very interesting to see how White will respond to this doubling down from MSU Green.
Looks like they want to lean into this bandit trick again, which I'd say, given how that last round went, is probably a pretty solid idea. With the Sledge pick, as well as potentially the Ash pick coming out from MSU White, it looks like they want to lean into a good bit of vertical play, run out from Gramado, but it doesn't end up netting anything. As he has to be more careful with his positioning, as you can't take long-range gunfights with that shotgun. Bandit trick could have potentially happened, but unfortunately it doesn't end up working out. Animus Wall is opened up. Lumi takes an aggressive angle here, which doesn't end up netting her a kill, but D4C and Shirk tag on for 2. C4 goes up, but doesn't catch anything here. Pulse looking to try to find where Seal is, so A man advantage can be claimed. Legion Shoddy gets one onto Steel. So left up to MCD and Mythic. MCD sits outside of CC. He manages to grab Shirk. Mythic sits outside of the main assembly wall, looking to see if someone is going to get a little bit overzealous, a little bit antsy, and potentially reveal themselves. But MSU Green are content to play this fairly close to the chest, as they want to secure things as quickly and as efficiently as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is going to come down to the 4v2 here to potentially see who will close out map 1. Things are looking incredibly good for MSU Green right now, as they are kind of trying to look for some final picks here to just kind of close things out. Looks like has been spotted, but it looks like Lumi is right there with the refrag on the MCD. It is now a 3 versus 1. Everything for the first map here is now down to Mythic. It does look like they may have spotted him, so they are going to be heading over to try and take this engagement. And it looks like Lumi will find the final kill on to Mythic in order to bring about a close to map 1.
Great stuff there from MSU Green, as they win things in fairly dominant fashion, and they use a good combination of aggression and strategy to keep MSU White on their toes and make sure that no matter what they try, it doesn't end up working out.
Absolutely. It is going to be very interesting to see how MSU White might perhaps adapt to the next round here. And we are going to kind of give some closing thoughts here, and then we'll move it over to intermission.
The main thing I'm going to kind of be looking for in this next map from MSU White is just counter the aggression. I feel like a lot of the times it was someone like Ling or D4C or Gramado setting the pace on MSU Green, and you didn't really have a whole lot of MSU White setting the pace there. And I think if they could get some of that going, then could be an entirely different story, especially going into their map pick as well from MSU Green. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. It's working out well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think that overall there has been a proliferation of fantastic plays from MSU White, and they just have really been bringing things home, making sure strong plays coming out from everybody, and that they're just overall able to clutch out the rounds that they need in order to just make things happen in general. Again, we were talking about being incredibly aggressive, making sure that they're able to appropriately find those opening picks, find the ways to do that, and just overall find a great way to close out map 1. With that, I believe we are going to try and move our way over to intermission. We will see you all in map 2, Skyscraper.
You have cams, James?
Oh my fucking god. It's fine, I got him. I just put the mag on him.
James, are you
Top
on
rush.
cams?
Shot cam.
See you later, okay.
God.
Where are they coming back?
Wyczuwany wam beat.
Bro, what are we doing, man?
Dude, Anna, please tell me you saw all of that.
They're all on the left.
You're getting me.
Oh, they're grabbing the wall.
Watch that! Watch that! Watch that!
Why would
Watch
he
that!
TK? Oh my god, you're throwing.
I got one down.
I fucking love you.
Friendly mission success.
Oh,
What?
Average siege community member.
For real.
Oh, say, can you see why the dawn's early delight? Oh, so proudly we hail by the twilight's last gleam.
I will be the first to tell you.
And bright stars.
Somebody's spawn peeking main door.
I killed him.
Or the ramparts
We hail.
Watch, bro. Holy shit, how drunk are you?
I don't know the national anthem.
Wyczuwany wam beats.
Everyone, and welcome back to the Midwest R6 playoffs. I'm Alias, and I'm joined today by the Overlord as we cast MSU Green versus MSU White, or Attack of the Clones, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really interesting matchup so far as we've seen these two teams go head to head. We've seen very strong plays from both teams. We've seen some exceptional playing from both Guac as well as Gramado, D4C, and it's very clear that although MSU has two fantastic competitive teams, only one of them can come out on top in our second map here.
It is usually how competitions go. For those of you who missed the first map, MSU Green took it in a dominant 7-1 fashion, with the only round coming out of MSU White being an ace from their player Spicy Guac, which poetically was the final round was also an ace from, or the final rounds of the first half was an ace from an MSU Green player. So it's kind of interesting how those things work out.
Absolutely. I think that overall it's going to be very interesting to see these teams on a map that perhaps MSU Green is not too comfortable with as opposed to MSU White. It's just going to be super interesting to see what kind of new strats Green is going to be able to bring out, as well as what strats MSU White already has. So overall, I'm very excited for the matchup between these two teams. And I think we are just about ready to get into our gameplay here. So we're going to bring it back over to the match.
I'm excited as well. As I said before we got into the first map, this is, I mean, it's everyone's favorite part, is getting to see the game unfold and seeing how things progress. So as soon as we have the R's from our players, as soon as we know that everyone is ready, we'll get things kicked off, get into the server, sort out some operator bans, and then get to the action.
For sure. I'm very curious to see what bans we see coming out from Green and White. I know that Azami is a favorite ban a favorite ban of MSU Green, so I'm very curious to see if they'll be bringing it out into the second match here. I know that we also saw the Fenrir ban. Very curious if we'll see that again from Green. And really, it's going to be a toss-up to me to see what MSU White ends up banning.
MSU White are going to be on the defense yet again as their starter, and they're going to opt to go. And they got set a good defense here, and they're going to get the first ban as a result, taking on an attacker that is Nook yet again, which to me says that they really don't want to deal with these lurk plays, and unfortunately, I'm not super comfortable with saying that that has been an effective way of stopping it, as we kind of saw what Ling was doing on the previous map.
Of course, heavy presence from these lurking roamers, these lurking entries almost, has been very fascinating to watch on the side of MSU Green, especially with how aggressive they are at taking map control, at securing real estate, and really just opening up the site for the rest of their team to barge on through. We are going to be seeing a request coming out from Shirk on Green to avoid the Azami ban. Very curious to see if MSU White is going to heed his advice and go ahead and avoid the ban. It does look like they will be letting him play Azami, opening up Solus. Of course, this match is all in good fun as well. So it's very entertaining to see the boys riffing on each other.
I believe we have basically the same bans as last map, although actually the only difference is that MSU Green takes up the Flores instead of the Jackal here, which means they're going to be using the Jackal, but it also means that once they get to the defense, the utility is going to be a little bit safer, as Flores is usually pretty powerful for dealing with shields, and it is also something that MSU White did try to lean on when they attacked that command center and server room bomb site.
Seeing the site choice here is also interesting as well. Very, very stock standard for your typical ranked push, but it is interesting that we're going to be seeing some similar choices in style to a normal ranked match. But I will say one interesting choice is Steel reprising a role as Capcan here, known to be very effective against D4C. Perhaps they're hoping to kind of shut him down in the process, as they're looking for any opportunity they can take here on Skyscraper.
He has been putting only one trap on each doorway, so it's not going to kill D4C if he walks into it. However, that is intel, and it does mean that whenever MSU Green walk into a doorway, they're going to need to be looking at their feet, or the droning is going to have to be pretty exceptional to make sure that no one dies to one of these things. Ling is going to make an entry in towards the restaurant bathroom, and potentially walk up black stairs, maybe walk up main stairs, depending on where he feels the gap is, while Shirk and Gramado get some pressure going Samurai side.
I am also very curious to see with the Capcan traps. I will say we do see the first pick here, as Ling will find Orca Melon, bring us to a relatively early 5 vs 4 scenario here. But again, that Capcan choice, it's all in the chip damage, right? If they're able to get these picks. But it looks like Ling will strike back first with a double onto MCD here, as they're now in a 4v3, as Steel will find Lumi. And it looks like Shirk will find Guac, and it is now a 4v1 situation. Definitely not a spot that MSU White wants to find themselves in round 1 here on Skyscraper.
Gonna be all left up to Mythics. They know where he is, and Ling gets the swing and then gets the pick as a result, which locks out the first round in, I'd say, pretty similar fashion to the first round of the previous map.
For sure, I think we saw, again, more aggressive map control, a lot of droning out, which is absolutely necessary for good coordination from MSU Green. And overall, I've just seen a very cohesive presence here from MSU Green, something that MSU White just hasn't really been able to match as well. Again, this is an academy roster. They're still kind of learning the ropes. They're still developing that good team chemistry. So, one can't fault them, but I think it'll be even considered a victory for MSU White here if they're able to stand up to MSU Green on some of these pushes.
Gonna go back to the same side here. A little bit of an adaptation coming out. We're gonna have a smoke being brought out by Orca, as well, combined with the Rudigates being brought out from MCD. I think they're gonna try to go for a little bit more delay here, and potentially a little bit positioning that is closer to the site, as those early picks that were attained by Ling, as well as I believe it was D4C, were very detrimental to the side hold and to the overall strategic competency that round was played out with from MSU White. And so, I'm gonna say, let's avoid that as much as we can.
I will also say another key component of MSU Green's overall strategy is going to be the aggression of their entries. Gramado and Ling, just their hunger to get into the building, their ability to find those opening picks, those early round frags that really open up the rest of the map. Like we were saying, gives them that real estate and really lets them have free roam over the rest of the map. And that does put a definitive amount of pressure on MSU White, as they're kind of forced to start dealing with the fact that not every corner they turn is going to be friendly, and it really is going to create a bit of a conundrum here, as there might be a kill coming out. It looks like Ramado will find Mythic, as MSU Green is going to start off with an early 5-4 lead, but quickly evened as Orca will find 2 on Ling and D4C, only evened out by Gramado getting a refrag.
Mono gets a triple on the round as well, taking out Spicy Guac, leaving everything up just up to MCD and Steel. Not as bad as things went last time, but still not a great position, as there is plenty of utility left on the side of MSU Green to make things happen, especially if Gramado is able to go for the quad by taking out MCD. Shirk cleans up Steel, ace denied, but round secured as MSU Green go up 2-0.
We did see that real hunger again coming out from Gramado here with that quad and almost ace. Again, it's been really staggering how these individual, almost kind of heroic plays from either teams really seems to swing the direction of the round in their favor. Again, thinking back to Guac on Nighthaven and Gramado on both Nighthaven and Skyscraper, again, these entries' abilities to just find these picks one after another is really securing round after round for them, more so than any stall out or any push from the support players here.
We're gonna switch to bomb sites here, as MSU might want to go over towards Office and Samurai. I'd say the adaptation is good here, is if you just keep getting fried on one site, usually not best to keep testing your luck. They're gonna bring out Amira as well, which could potentially throw a wrench into the way that MSU Green are gonna want to attack this. Although she is going to be lacking the C4 that is pretty typical for Amira to be bringing.
I will say we do see that utility used very often with Mira. Very curious choice, as you were saying, of using the beepers here over the C4. But I will say they do already have 3 C4s from Cade, Mozzie, and Mute, more specifically Orca, Mythic, and Steel, respectively. So I do think we will still see a heavy presence of C4 in this round, potentially to kind of give MSU White a little room to breathe in terms of their picks. You don't have to expose as much of yourself when you're throwing that C4, and it looks like Ling might have almost caught one of the MSU White players out of rotation, and he will catch him as Ling will find Steel. Might find another one here, but will be taken down by Guac, as it is now a 4v4 with some frags soon to follow.
There's a lot of aggression coming out towards the VIP side. Aggression that's punished as Lumi gets killed up by Guac. Orca gets followed up by D4C, though. These things slowly start to even themselves out. D4C looks to get this pick on to Guac if he can. MCD also holds across from this Mira window, although he is going to get fired upon as D4C gets this pick onto Guac before being refragged by a flank from Mythic. This could throw a wrench into the attack, and it does as he manages to kill Shirk. It's all up to Gramado. Gets the first onto Mythic, just has one more to find. But MCD has this mirror window to play off of, if he can get back there. Right now, he just sits inside a Samurai. It doesn't look like his position is known, but the swing is good regardless, as Gramado gets that kill, and 3-0, as MSU Green find themselves climbing the round counts.
A very strong start and very strong momentum being shown from MSU Green here, as they're able to really take advantage of all the momentum that they've used up until this point to really just continue pushing hard and fast at MSU White. Again, some of these MSU White players are just not looking comfortable in these setups, in these positions, and so it's very interesting to see how they attempt to adapt and how MSU Green is bringing down the hammer all the same. Again, pointing out these power players, Gramado, Guac. Really, it all comes down to these superstars' performances, and so far we've been seeing an exceptional performance from Motto here, 6-0 currently. Can't get much better than that for the 3 rounds played so far, and really it's it's going to be up to MSU White to try and pick up on any slack that MSU Green gives them in order to try and eke out even just a round win here on Skyscraper.
Kitchen and Barbecue is where we find ourselves in this present round, as MSU White had decided that the 2 upper floor sites weren't working out to their satisfaction, so they're going to try a combination of a Mira and a Tachanka along with a castle to see if they can get something going here. We're going to see a Monty get brought out from Gramado, which, given his fearlessness on that entry roll, I'm interested to see how this is going to manifest itself as the round progresses. We also have D4C on that ram, which means vertical play is definitely part of the strategy that MSU Green want to execute when they're getting onto the site here. And if they can clear out part of the site with the vertical play and then have the Monty go in and apply pressure, this plant could certainly happen quickly.
I do think MSU Green has really concocted a solid strategy here for the rest of the round. As you pointed out, the Ram coming in for the vertical play could certainly be very strong. We saw how strong it was on Nighthaven for creating just another level of discomfort for the defenders, making them feel a little bit more pinned in, a little bit less likely to make those bold and risky plays that they're going to need at this point. And we are seeing exactly that as D4C is going to be going for the vert, but Orca will find the first pick of the match onto Ling. We are going to see Gramato kind of creeping down the stairs there, hopefully trying to get down. We are going to see another pick coming out from Orca, though, as he's going to take down Shirk here, bringing us to a 3v5 for MSU Green. Definitely not a position they'd like to be in, and definitely not a position they're accustomed to being.
We're going to see Lumi take a swing off of the information being provided by Gramato on this Monty, which is good for a pick on to Spicy Glock. So man count Brock back just a little. Flag coming from the black stairs. It doesn't look like they're fully aware of it, but Gramato's going to see this and potentially give Lumi the information she needs for a swing. C4 goes out, doesn't net a kill, but nets a ton of damage. Castle follows up as well, gets the pick onto Lumi, but not quite good for one onto Gramato yet. The fire takes out Steel, but it also kills Gramato in the process, bringing a fiery end to the first round that MSU White has won.
Definitely a very strong interruption here from MSU White, really trying to shake things up as much as possible, and it definitely paid off for them. I would say that they do need to be careful, especially as we see a potential Blitz or Blackbeard pick coming out from Gramato on the next attacking round. It really does seem that the variance in MSU Green's strategy is what allowed the round win from MSU White. Not to discount, of course, MSU White's ability to adapt around the plan, really making sure that Monty saw little to no use on that site through the repeated throwing down of the Legion mines, and really overall just doing a solid job of isolating the MSU Green members into these one-on-one gunfights that really they weren't able to take as well as they've been taking in previous rounds.
Back up to tea and karaoke we go. Frost being brought out here by Orca. Mossy being brought out by Spicy Block. Some space denial as well as information denial on the cards here, as they just want to keep MSU Green out for as long as possible, although with the Ying combined with the Blackbeard, there could be a rough start coming from that karaoke window, or the Ying could potentially just be used to speedrun this roam clear, as if you're a roamer and a Ying Candela lands at your feet, it's not usually a great time.
Definitely not, and here's hoping, on MSU White's behalf that we won't see any of that happen. But as you were saying, the Ying is incredibly useful here and could secure some nice frags. Like you were saying, we do see Guac on the Mozzie, which is, again, feels very natural for him where he got his ace on Nighthaven, and I believe that he definitely is trying to evoke that kind of skill in order to bring it back. We are seeing Orca getting a frag onto D4C as a grenade goes out, misses. Orca will find another one before being taken down, as he'll find Shirk with Ling ultimately dealing the final blow. Gonna see some more engagements here as Ling is gonna be taken down by Mythic, and it really does look like MSU White's round to win here potentially, but Mato will find the pick. Mythic will find a refrag onto Lumi, and now it is just one player left for MSU Green. He has clutched it up before in these kinds of situations, but I am very curious to see if Gramato is able to pull a 1v3 win out today.
Does have the Blackbeard shields, which means that he can tank a headshot effectively. He can tank 2 headshots with those shields, so if he's able to get himself into the right positions, could certainly be the thing that makes all the difference. He has a minute to work with as well, which makes things even easier for himself, as he has plenty of time to kind of move around, isolate these gunfights, take these ones, and see if he can figure out where people are. But this frost mat could be deadly. First shield taken out by MCD at the top of the stairs. Get the barbed wire off these stairs if the game will cooperate with him, and just see if he can move somewhere else here.
I definitely think that might have spelled the doom of him if that engagement hadn't been taken. I think perhaps Mato might have walked directly into the frost trap there, which would have spelled the end of the momentum here for MSU Green. You know, really getting those 2 rounds is cementing a little bit of doubt, perhaps, in the minds of MSU Green as they're trying to quickly close out this first playoff game, just to kind of cement their confidence going into the rest of the tournament. We are going to see a potential kill here coming out from Mato. And it looks like he is not able to find... Oh, he's going to find one as MCD gets taken down, but Guac is quick on the refrag as MSU White takes home their 2nd round win.
3rd round win of the series under MSU White's belt. And they bring themselves, honestly, to a pretty solid position here. I would say that you typically want to have at least a 3-3 half on this side, though it does look like they are on track to get it if they can win this round. But at the same time, if MSU Green can take this round and go into the defense half with a 4-2 advantage, could also be pretty deadly.
I will say MSU Green definitely has to try and regain some of their momentum and some of their footing here. It does look like they are going with a more, I hate to say it, but a more serious lineup here as they go into the 6th round. Again, maybe the Amaru wouldn't quite necessarily be counted as part of a more standard attacker lineup, but with the Finka coming from Gramato, with the breaching ability of Ace, as well as the power coming out from Cali here, I really do think that this might be an opportunity for MSU Green to regain their footing here, and an opportunity for MSU White to perhaps prove that they're, you know, not as much of a pushover as they were on the first map here.
Ling is probably going to try to get himself into a corner of the site and just see if he can get a couple picks off of that, which the rest of his team can try to push off of if they feel it's necessary. Spicy Guac is prepared for a run on here by the minibar wall, though it doesn't look like anyone is going to give him a repel that will allow him to pull this off. Shirk is going to get the first pick onto MCD. That's a Valkyrie off the board, though D4C is killed off by Guac in the meantime. Ling's going to make his way over toward Drum. He's not going to spot Mythic on that Azami, who is going to kill him. Almost gets a second on to Shirk, but Shirk opts to move away and preserve his life for the time being. As Gramato sits underneath the site, tried to use his frag grenades to get a couple picks, but unfortunately for him, nothing presents itself thus far.
A very encouraging start here from MSU White, who are currently up by 1 man. You know, sometimes people may not think that makes a difference, but really in terms of overall confidence, the ability to hold control of these sections of the map can be crucial to a team's morale when trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, Gormato is going to take out Steel, but a quick refrag as Orca is going to find Lumi, bringing us back down to a 3v2 with man advantage in MSU White's favor. MSU Green has to be looking a little shaky by now, as they have let what was a confident lead start to devolve into an even man count, as Orca will be found by Shirk and taken out. Looks like one is going to be behind the minibar, giving Shirk a little bit of difficulty. We are going to be seeing some engagements here between Mythic and Gramato, potentially culminating in a kill here, as Mythic will find Shirk, leaving it all down to Gramato again in the 1v2. Certainly more manageable than what he's previously done here, but it has yet to be seen whether or not he's going to find that final pick here. Appears MSU White is going to be playing it very, very safe, and it does appear that not banning Azami might have been a mistake on MSU Green's part, not MSU White's part, as Mythic is so confidently playing this Izami. We are going to see the soft pin go out. We might be able to pick up a frag here from Gramato, and it looks like he'll be able to find the headshot on to Quack, no problem. Now down to a 1 versus 1 here, as Gramato's going to be looking for Mythic, and he's going to find him as MSU Green is able to regain their momentum and take a 4-2 split.
I have to say I do agree with Ling throwing bro into the chat, as that was kind of their round to win. They had an Izami and Wamai up, and they both had good positions, but they let the 1v1s get isolated in a way that ends up benefiting Gramato in the end. The 4-2 split now is what we're going to be going into the second half with, as Team Karaoke is going to be the first site that MSU Green want to attempt. Same thing as MSU White, as that is a pretty common site to start on. Although we'll have to see if they play it with a little bit more proficiency.
Communication and coordination are definitely key for all of these sites, and for both of these teams. I think really on this, in the first half of this skyscraper match, really a lot of these round wins came down to who was more coordinated, who was communicating more with their teammates. And in the rounds where we saw the slightly less serious operator picks from MSU Green, we saw the coordination really increase from MSU White, and that was kind of what enabled them to eke out those victories. We did see in that last round a lot of MSU White members being kind of caught out of place, and that definitely cost them at least a couple of lives here. And so it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be able to make more use of coordination as a team when MSU White is forced onto the attacking side, maybe in a little bit of a weaker position than they were at on defense.
We have the Boss G being brought out again, this time by D4C and not by Ling. A bit of an odd gun choice, though. If you do have a good shot on you, which we know D4C does, then one shot to the body is all it takes to put someone on the ground. We're going to see Gramato roaming up towards office here, with Lumi bandit tricking inside of VIP and D4C playing inside of Samurai. As a lot of band count is concentrated in this area, as they want to try to deny this space for as long as possible, along with potentially getting a pick or two. Smoke Grenade is going to block off that run out that Gramato was flirting with earlier. Going to throw out an impact, see if he can find some potential damage, though it doesn't look like he finds much from it.
It looks like MSU White is definitely getting a little bit of their footing. Looks like Orca is going to take down Gramato here in what is a huge victory here for MSU White, but will quickly be corrected as D4C will find kills! Multiple kills! A triple kill coming out from D4C onto Guac as well, leaving us in the 3v1 situation here with MSU Green handily above in man count. It is definitely all down to Steel here to see what he can make of it. Again, it looks like we might see an interesting play here from MSU Green, as almost all of them abandon site, and it may be an excellent opportunity here for Steel if he's able to get the right amount of intel to get into the site and potentially plant, giving himself a much more advantageous position in a post-plant when time is on your side than finding yourself having to wade through 3 more defenders before he's able to get onto site and get the plant down.
Yeah, we do still see a lot of aggression over towards this side of the map, and that's exactly where we're going to see Steel make his entrance. He gets inside of house through the single window. It looks like Ling has read into this. He's gonna see if he could walk down and find a potential pick. He's right about into where the Thatcher is, but it ends up being Lumi that gets the pick, as she holds the double door and secures the 5th round for her team on Skyscraper.
MSU Green is looking quite unstoppable now, much more natural on their defensive rounds than potentially on their attack rounds. And it looks like they're going to be going Exhibition Room and Office for their 8th round here. Again, MSU Green only needs 2 more to cement themselves as the superior MSU team and ensure that they are moving on in the playoffs.
Office and Samurai next. We see a pretty similar lineup, at least in my opinion, to what they had the last time, as it does look like MSU Green kind of have an identity figured out for themselves, which they are aiming to work off of here. Gonna see, I would imagine some aggressive play with that zombie from Shirk, along with D4C and Ling, looking to break out of camp Scatman and John of their own on the other side of the map, and just see what kind of picks they can find, what kind of time they can delay utility as well. But ultimately, just kind of see what happens and try to bring out these next 2 rounds.
Additionally, the choice of Lumi, choosing when and where to bandit trick has certainly been very entertaining to watch, especially because that one wall is potentially so crucial inside the office there that she may choose to abandon her previous post and go right over there instead. It really gave White some room to play with last time. But at the same time, obviously, it allowed for some counterplay from the door. And we are seeing at least 2 members of MSU White bringing out a Claymore, which might be additionally useful in trying to secure their flanks a little bit, making sure that they're not being, too crept up on. We are seeing the gridlock pick as well with the nades, trying to bring that utility online and getting some good flank watch. Not looking like they're going to be able to get much real estate here as they move into Geisha. But again, it's very, very difficult to cement a foothold in Geisha here, especially with those footholds.
You see some aggression from D4C, though it doesn't net a kill, but it looks like he is making MSU White hesitant to try to walk in the building. They don't want to walk into the waiting arms of the Boss G that proved to be so deadly in the previous round. Especially with the Ling backing him up immediately. They do make their way into Geisha, and the opening duel happens as D4C takes one out, but immediate refrag happens from Spicy Guac as he gets a second as well onto D4C. Gramato's playing in an upfront position now as he wants to bring this man count back. Holds a pixel angle that he does eventually think better of as he opts to preserve his life and make sure the man count doesn't go down farther than it has already.
Very reckless and aggressive plays from MSU Green that, while typically are extremely advantageous for them, are just not netting positive benefits on this round, as we do find man count in the favor of MSU White. Now, Guac is very low, and that does kind of diminish his chances of making these more heroic plays. But it does seem like MSU White is moving in with a plan. They're trying to free up as much real estate as possible, trying to avoid any erroneous mistakes that they might make on a flank here. But it does look like Shirk might be trying to go for something aggressive in terms of their flank. Is going to catch one off as Steel will be found by Shirk. Lumi will find Guac, and Mythic will find the refrag onto Shirk as what was a confident 3v4, I believe, is now reduced to a 2v2 situation here.
Gramato's going to start throwing those smoke canisters around, just trying to waste as much time as he can. MCD is down on the floor, and Mythic does not have time to work anything as MSU Green secure themselves map and match points.
It's going to be very interesting to see how MSU Green is going to take their match point, if they're going to, take the opportunity to perhaps get a little bit more practice, really try and reinforce their tried and true solutions here, or whether or not they might take things a little off book, going with operators that we don't see picked quite as often in these kinds of leagues. And as I say that, a Clash pick coming out from Shirk here, certainly not an unfamiliar sight in some of these matches, but certainly unfamiliar on match point as MSU Green really tries to bring it home against MSU White.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
I do have to say, I do think I like the idea if they're going for what I think they are, which would essentially be like, hey, D4C has good aim, what if we just, stick a shield in front of his face? Or, hey, Gramato has good aim, what if we just stick a shield in front of his face? And just bring something that is going to allow us to get a little bit of an advantage in these gunfights, whilst also making it more scary to just walk in and take space, which is already something that MSU White has struggled with, and I'm guessing the Clash is almost certainly going to make that worse, if played correctly.
The assertiveness may definitely be a boon for MSU White, and as we're seeing the clash pick out here, it may be attempting to deter exactly what might save MSU White here, which is confidently asserting yourself, making sure to take good gunfights, and it looks like Guac is just a little bit too late to find the potential peak onto onto Ling, I believe, as he is going to retreat back upstairs more so to safety. Looks like it's going to be a Geisha side take coming out from MSU White. Gramado will find the first pick onto Mythic, though, as the Ying is taken off the board, and with it, all of the burn and all of the utility that Ying traditionally brings. Definitely devastating for MSU White's push, but in no means is it completely derailing it.
D4C gets a pick onto Orcamelon. That's the primary hard breach. Actually, the only hard breach taken out. Run out happens from the clash, but doesn't net anything as Steel ends up getting the better of that gunfight. Good to see MCD make an entry in towards Terrace side, along with Steel on that Lion. And now the next person they're going to come into contact with is Loomies, who's going to try to make an aggressive play over towards Drum, but it ends up getting punished by Steel. However, Ling gets the tap onto MCD before getting refragged by Spicy Guac, who's now going to look to try to find Gramado here, and he does successfully find the pick, leaving it all up to D4C. Currently sits inside of Geisha. Has the positioning here, though he does give it away in the end, as Team Kill comes out from the steal, but he gets the refrag of his own kill in the end. And nets his team another round and allows them to stay in the competition a little bit longer.
Definitely a stronger showing from MSU White than what we've seen in these past rounds. And I will say, at the end of the day, even if MSU White does not emerge victorious, they can at least say that they did not go quietly. They definitely put up some rounds on the board. And as we're seeing, the sloppiness coming out from MSU Green is losing them rounds when they're not able to effectively cooperate and coordinate. You see these completely mismatched or these late calls that end up costing them lives and leaving them in the kind of situations where it's a 1v2 and it's down to just one guy to get it all done, and that is the kind of thing that if MSU Green is not careful, could sneak up on them and allow MSU White to potentially secure a bit of a comeback here.
They're only 3 rounds away from securing overtime, which is certainly not out of the realm of possibility, although knowing Lumi, I think she is going to try to get people a little bit more focused now that they're in this position, a little bit more ready to just close the game out. We have the 6-3 here, split some the map as quickly as we can, and move on further into the playoffs, rather than potentially flirting with the idea of an upset happening from MSU White.
An upset would definitely be a worst case scenario for MSU Green, bringing them onto a third map, tiring out, what I'm sure is already an exhausted roster, and really, just kind of forcing them back through the grinder. So if I were in MSU Green's shoes right now, I'd be trying to, secure the win right now, make sure that even if you do screw around for a round or two, that you are bringing it home incredibly confidently. Although we are seeing some shenanigans from both Shirk and D4C, I am very confident that they will still be attempting to pull out a win here, and will try and definitely get some picks here as MSU White is looking to enter Geisha.
Drone work being done by Mythics, though. Nothing comes of it so far. Ling looking to get aggressive with the pistol on the Ella. Frag grenade comes out from Mythic here, though it doesn't end up panning out immediately, as he does refrag himself, but ultimately Ling does get that opener. And now D4C sits and watches the same entry point that his teammate has just fallen from, as MSU White want to get this pick onto D4C. They want him out of this position. They want that man advantage, but so far he isn't giving them a great opportunity to get it. Gramado takes a swing, but ultimately doesn't catch anything until he gets that down, but he is refrag before he can secure it. As now it's left to the teammates of the down player to try to get things back up, but a double kill off of Orca's Claymore leaves everything up to Shirk.
we are seeing the 3v1 situation here. Orca has just been picked up, and now it's really going to be all down to Shirk here to win a 1v3. Again, these were the sloppy plays we were talking about, trying to get super aggressive, trying to jump out, punishes them every time. And what they're doing is they're really trying to make something happen, and MSU White is just taking every opportunity that they get. They're fighting like their lives depend on it, and it does if they want to stay in these playoffs. It looks like they are going to be desperately looking. Shirk is going to find one onto Orca, and it is now a 1v2 here as the clock ticks down.
MCD does end up securing the final pick and keeps his team alive for a little bit. Things looked good in the early round, but unfortunately, MSU Green decides to engage in a little bit too much tomfoolery, and it ends up not going their way this time. They're going back to tea and karaoke here with, I'd imagine, a pretty similar lineup, maybe a few more trap operators, so if people are tomfools yet again, then there is some utility left for whomever ends up in the clutch. You're going to see a Rook being brought out here from Gramato, which is going to allow for a little bit more tankiness and the potential for self-revives from the players on the side of MSU Green, which, honestly, given the way they're playing, is not a bad idea.
Rook is definitely a safer operator choice here. Again, bringing the 2-time scope is very, very useful, again, for the cheekier kind of spawn peaks that they've been going for, trying to get those early frags. But the benefit of Rook is that all of his utility is already in play by the time they go to spawn peak, so nothing is super, super lost by having the Rook off the board early. Additionally, very beefy, comes with a lot of health, and that is super beneficial when trying to make sure that people are staying alive in these clutch scenarios. We are going to see a potential spawn peak coming out here from Gramato. Looks like he's trying to watch the cams to see if he can get an early peak, but so far nothing has borne fruit, so most likely MSU White will be able to make it up to the building safe and sound, but Shirk might be getting a little aggressive here, unable to find the pick onto MCD. It looks like he may be backing off.
I'm gonna head all the way back towards the site and just gonna sit there and leave the roamers be as they're running around having a jolly good time of their own. The 4C running around with the Deagle and presumably running around with the Ella pistol. Bit of a whip from Spicy Block, but he does secure the opener onto Gramato. Office wall will promptly be opened by Orca as his team looks to secure ground on this side of the map, and things are shaping out pretty well for them so far.
A man advantage this early is certainly advantageous, especially since it just increased as Mythic will find the pick onto D4C. We did see a Gersmont mine get placed down by Ling. Might lead to a frag here if he's smart. We do see the Ella shotgun coming out, which is potentially deadly for the people out on the balcony if Ling is able to get around the Claymore there and secure some kills. We do see Shirk, I believe, abandon his post as he is getting potentially droned out here. There is really nowhere to turn for a lot of these MSU Green players, as MSU White is just droning everything out, taking their time, taking smart gunfights, and it might lead them to coming out on top here and potentially forcing us into an overtime.
There is still hope to be had for the MSU Green players, especially with Ling putting his good aim to work and bringing things just that little bit closer to being even. Although Guac ends up securing things in the end and making sure that doesn't come to fruition. Shark sitting inside of Karaoke holds an angle over towards Drum that complements Lumi's angle over towards a similar doorway, as they do know that this is where MSU White wants to come from, and come from there they will, as first pick of the needed 4 comes from Shirk as he takes out, I believe it was MCD.
as they're looking for openings here in the 3v2. Again, man advantage is still in MSU White's favor, and it looks like the site setup for MSU Green may have been their undoing as the plant is going to start to come down from Orcamelon. Guac to find the last two on to Shirk and Lumi, closing out another unexpected round win here for MSU White. Things are looking like the scales may tip back in White's favor here as we get closer and closer to overtime.
Things are looking better and better for MSU White and worse for MSU Green, as they've set a match point for quite a bit of time now, and if they lose this round, they end up in overtime, which gives a great opportunity for MSU Green, or for MSU White rather, to take control of the match again and take us to a third map, which will be Chalet if we need it. And this, if ever there was a time to stop trolling, it is probably now. Because I don't know about you, I don't want to lose to my academy team.
I think that would definitely leave a bad taste in Green's mouth if they were to take this to overtime and lose to White. Even a map would be a little humiliating for the members of Green, but it would definitely be a point of pride for MSU White, knowing that they were able to bring down their varsity counterparts. We are going to see a rather typical site setup coming out from MSU Green. The operator lineup is a little less joking than previously, and it does look like they are attempting to try and either communicate or potentially get a spawn peek here on to some of the members of MSU White.
Going to see Lumi yet again bandit tricking that VIP wall. That has been the strategy she's been going for thus far, though so far no one's actually tried to open it, so hasn't really panned out all that well. Though regardless if someone does, then you can rest assured that wall will remain closed. Looks like most of the attention is yet again going to be focused over towards Geisha side. Orca sitting down his signature double claymore on the window to prevent these jump outs. Spicy Guac gets the first pick on Chaling yet again, as Orca starts opening up this Geisha wall. And it's going to put some pressure on D4C here, though I'm sure it's nothing that he can't handle, as he can revive himself or just heal himself if he wants to get a little bit brazen.
Definitely a bad look for MSU Green here, losing the man advantage early and putting themselves into a 4v5 potentially unnecessarily. Looks like Lumi will take a little bit of damage here as MSU White is starting to continue looking for these picks. We might see another kill coming out here as MCD will find D4C. If that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is. But with that mouthful, they are brought down to a 5v3 scenario here. All of the cards are turning up MSU White here as they look at the potential to go into overtime and send us to a map 3.
3 players located inside of Geisha right now, lurking over towards Karaoke. Gramado is going to be the first line of defense for that, and he does have a good angle, but they do drone him out here, which does make his life a little bit more difficult. We also have some potential pressure towards Drum. Gramado gets one, Shirk tags on for another. Man count is even now, although Lumi is in a bit of an awkward position that could turn things back over if someone from MSU White is able to hit the shot.
With Ling and D4C both off the board, those are incredibly strong players who are lending their presence here so far. Mato is still on the board as well as Guac, so it really is going to come down to who is able to outfrag the others. It looks like that will be Mato as he is taking out MCD, leaving MSU White in a bad spot here. Potentially unable to make it to the overtime. It would be incredibly crushing as Lumi will be found out by Guac. Shirk will find the refrag, and it is now a 1v2 situation with MSU Green in the man count advantage. And it looks like Gramado will be taken out by Steel, but Shirk will have the last laugh as he takes out Steel and brings the game to a close in favor of MSU Green.
Good stuff from MSU Green, able to bring out that last round, even if it is a little bit hairy in the later stages. The play from Gramado and Shirk, as well as Lumi in the end there, is ultimately the thing that allowed them to turn that 3v5 into a 1v0 and get themselves a 2-0 dub to start off these playoffs. We do have an interview that is going to come up in just a sec here, so after some closing thoughts from my co-caster, we're going to throw it to a quick break just to get things set up before we come back and interview a player from MSU Green.
I will say I think we saw fantastic games from both MSU Green and MSU White. Again, very strong performances. I think breakout players were definitely Guac and Motto. They had their fair share of kills. Again, like I was saying at the beginning, it came down to coordination and communication. And really, MSU Green was just able to come out on top and bring things to a close for MSU Green. As we said, we'll be moving over to an intermission screen, and we'll be right back with a post-game interview.
RO32 Beats.
Hello, everyone. We are back. We have Lumi from MSU Green, which I'm glad I don't have to differentiate between the two now because it was driving me absolutely mentally insane, which I don't need. But I mean, we have you here. How does it feel? What are your thoughts after taking the dub over Orca and Co?
I mean, we were really just playing to have fun there. We know all of those guys. We're all friends there, so we were just playing to have a fun time for the most part. So feels pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic performance from both MSU Green and MSU White. Um, I know we saw a little bit of a comeback from MSU White on Skyscraper, knowing that MSU Green is perhaps not super comfortable with Skyscraper or hasn't played Skyscraper before. Can you kind of talk us through some of the changes or adaptations you guys had to make as you were playing?
I mean, yes and no. So we haven't played Sky at all this season. It's definitely on our permaban list, so we kind of just took it out to see how we could do on it. For the most part, a lot of the comeback potential that we saw from them came from a bit of trolling that was going on our end. I don't know if you noticed, we had pistol only rounds, so we were trying to just goof around. It did get a little hairy there at the end with that last map, last round. We were a little worried we'd be seeing OT, but we were just like, nope, we just got to rein it in, trust what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We just need to focus up, and we got the dub, thankfully.
Something that kind of benefited you guys a lot was your entry game, is both Gramado and Lang were not only willing to just get in the faces of MSU White, but also had the proficiency to win most of those gunfights. How much would you kind of say like that impacted the way that you played those rounds?
Well, definitely having the opening pick is a pretty nice feeling to have because you know that you have the men advantage. You can kind of just play those refrags. You can kind of collapse on the site a lot easier. I will point out that actually Link didn't know how to play Nighthaven. He'd never played that map in comp before, so he was really just jumping in any window he found and saying, "Where do I go from here?" And we were trying to just like direct him from, dead teammate perspectives and cameras. So it was a lot of just kind of trusting our guns on Nighthaven and on Skyscraper to just kind of do what we do best.
Yeah, it was very evident that you had a lot of strong moments on Nighthaven, especially with some of the aces coming out. I believe Gramado was responsible for at least one of them, and so I will say I do think it looks like you guys have cleaned up your Nighthaven game a lot. Is Nighthaven a map that you guys feel particularly comfortable on and are looking forward to playing further on?
Nighthaven is kind of a map that we like to keep in our pocket. It's one that we know and not a lot of other teams know particularly well, so we're trying to kind of get a head start so we can take it out. Or if it's taken out against us, then at least we know it, so we can actually meet them halfway on it. It's one that we practiced on and off, but we're really just trying to run it when we can because it's banned a lot in scrims.
A lot of teams are definitely still kind of getting used to it. So unless Alex has any more questions, or Overlord, excuse me, I would like to give you the floor and just kind of let you, say your piece or thank anyone you'd like to, whether it be the stream, your mother, or Midwest R6, whomever you please at this given moment.
Well, I would like to thank Midwest R6 for letting us stream on their channel here. This was supposed to just be kind of a off main channel private stream that we were setting up to really just kind of test some tech things, and Midwest stepped up and they're like, "Hey, why don't you just stream it to our channel?" So we're pretty grateful for the opportunity to be streamed, especially because the last couple times we tried to get up here, it didn't end so well. There's a lot of tech issues. And on top of that, I just want to say that tonight was pretty awesome because it was the first time we could actually run our full roster. We've been needing to pull in substitutes left and right. You've seen Overlord here play in almost every game since he was given the sub position. So it's pretty nice to actually have everyone together, and we're feeling pretty strong for playoffs.
Awesome, that's fantastic. With that, we are going to transition over to our end of stream screen. Thank you so much, Anna, Lumi, for coming in to speak with us today about your match versus MSU White. Midwest